How the Reformers Repeated the Mistakes of the Catholics, Part 4, Richard Hooker. Richard Hooker, who lived from 1554 to 1600, was an English priest in the Church of England and an influential theologian. He was an extremely influential figure in the development of Protestantism in England in the 16th century. He opposed the Puritans, whom he regarded as extremists. Hooker believed in reason and that Scripture alone is not sufficient for the guidance of the Church. The Laws of Ecclesiastical Polity, original spelling was of the Laws of Ecclesiastical Politie, with an IE on the end, is Hooker's best known work, with the first 4 books being published in 1594. The 5th book was published in 1597, while the final 3 were published posthumously. Basically, Hooker believed in church order and tradition, and that the Puritan position that Scripture alone should govern all human conduct was wrong. He minimized the authority of Scripture and didn't even question many church practices that weren't based in Scripture. For example, the sacraments, the taking of Holy Communion, were regarded by Hooker as essential for salvation. Infant baptism was not questioned. Hooker did not like those who said that Christianity should return to the purity and simplicity of the early church. He claimed that much of what the apostles did was not recorded in Scripture, and therefore the church could develop rites and traditions which were outside of Scripture. Hooker believed that the way forward was for everyone to be a member of the Church of England. If ever a policy was doomed, that was it. He wrote, "We hold that there is not any man of the Church of England, but the same man is also a member of the Commonwealth, nor any member of the Commonwealth which is not also a member of the Church of England." While Hooker avoided extremes of language in his writings, he had a big influence on the church in England and on the nation at large. The Church of England retained many of the trappings of the Catholic Church. It was and is a state church with a system of bishops overseeing sees. An episcopal see is the area under a bishop's jurisdiction. The word see is derived from the Latin sedes, which in its original or proper sense denotes the seat or chair that in the case of a bishop is the earliest symbol of the bishop's authority. Each individual church was overseen and still is overseen by a vicar. A vicar, Latin vicarius, is a representative, deputy or substitute. Unfortunately, this system perpetuated the old Catholic system of people having to come to God through a priest or representative of God on earth. In fairness, the Church of England did do away with many of the excesses of Catholicism, but it was never able to completely free itself from the old Romish system. It's interesting to me that the Church of England has always perpetuated Hooker's ideas and has placed great emphasis on church organisation and less on the need for each individual to be born again. The problems continued into the 17th century. There was a big push in the country for uniformity of religion. The Puritans in the Church of England attempted to make the church more Protestant and less Catholic, but they were facing an uphill task. Things changed with the advent of the English Civil War in 1642. Men of various creeds fought side by side for the cause of liberty of conscience. Episcopalians, Puritans, Presbyterians, Independents, and Baptists joined together, and this helped increase the mutual respect between them. When the war was over, the Council of State in 1653 declared that no one should be made to conform to the public religion. There was now, under Oliver Cromwell's protectorate, some liberty of conscience, for Protestants at least. Quakers were not included in this new liberty and were routinely beaten, fined, and put in prison because of their refusal to take up arms or show honour to men. The real legacy of Hooker was that there were continual efforts to create uniformity of religion in England. In all, there were 6 acts of uniformity passed, the first in 1548 and the last in 1872. They all had the basic object of establishing some sort of religious orthodoxy within the Church of England. The 1662 Act of Uniformity required all ministers assent to everything in the Book of Common Prayer. This led to the Great Ejection, when 2,000 ministers were ejected from their livings. Non-conformity became a cause in itself, and various acts were passed to crush it. No non-conformist could hold public office, nor could he hold a meeting of more than 5 people. Ejected ministers were forbidden to go within 5 miles of any place where they had formerly ministered. The prisons soon became crowded with independents, Quakers and Baptists. This is what always happens when states try to enforce religious conformity. I've been through the stories of 4 reformers, and they all erred in the same way. Having once shaken off the shackles of Catholicism, they then attempted to put their own shackles on believers. It is Jesus who builds his church. The church does not belong to any organisation or institution. Thank you for listening. If you found this video interesting, you can find more information at prophecy-workshop.com.